coach, mentor, minister, motivational speaker. She is the owner of V. Nolan Group, LLC, which is her own ministry to assist in helping women heal from their womb up. She provides nurturing, positive, and a safe environment to women who are in need of her services. She has been helping people from all walks of life since the age of 19. Giving back to her community and communities across the country is one of her biggest passions, and working with diverse partners in different cultures. She has a love for all people. She sees no color. She is a very direct and dedicated to working hard when it comes to community service. She is currently mentoring young girls and women who struggle with everyday life. She is a 19-year survivor of domestic violence and a personal advocate for women who are in that situation. She has been in women's ministry since May of 2015 under the leadership of Anthony Golden Hill at the Empowering Word Kingdom Ministries International. Vicki's goal is to reach as many people as she can to reconcile them back to God or bring them into the fold. She's very dedicated and committed to serving God. She will find different strategies to meet the needs of the individuals who are in need of her services. She's a steward and ambassador of God's kingdom. And a quote here from the Bible, Proverbs 4, verse 7, I think it says. And with all thy getting, get an understanding. It's Coach Vicki.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm really a 20-year survivor. I didn't get time to change that. We started in 1994. My abuser and I used to sell drugs together. That's how we met. So sometimes you will gravitate toward people you think have a common interest as you. You think everything is all well and good. My abuser was the father of two of my children. And not only am I a survivor, so are my children. Most people don't address that their kids are survivors of domestic violence. Mostly the victim going through it only thinks of themselves when going through domestic violence. They don't think about their children when going through. But I try to make sure that it's known that my children are survivors as well. During this relationship, my abuser was not only mentally, physically, emotionally draining, he was also verbally abusive, and he also was sexually abusive. Most people don't address the sexual abuse and domestic violence because they think that's a separate category, but it all falls in line. My abuser decided when he wanted to sexually abuse me that he felt because women could have children that he should be able to have sex with me with his fist. So in the year after we were together, yes, this is what he did. He actually had sex with me with his fist. And so he found pleasure in that because he's like, yeah, well, y'all can have babies. You should be able to take this pain. So that experience happened to me. There was another instance where he felt I was watching his cousin or whatever. He felt like I was looking at him in a different way or whatever. So he decided that particular day he wanted to try to drown me in the shower. Then after trying to drown me in the shower, he decided he wanted to try to beat me with a hockey stick. That was another occasion. Then there was another occasion where he felt like I was being disrespectful to him. I was at one of my girlfriend's house with her, she lived with her boyfriend at the time. And again, he thought I wanted her boyfriend. Mind you, she's in the house with us, but I'm interested in her boyfriend. So that particular occasion, he decided that he wanted to try to throw me off the balcony of the apartment building from where we were. So that didn't work, so he decided, come on, we're going to go get in the elevator. So in the elevator, he decided to kick me in my head in a standing position, almost knocking me unconscious, but when he saw me fall, he decided he wanted to shake me to get me out of that. Then he decided, he wanted to black my eye, whatever. Then he took me to this other place where one of his friends, he called a cousin, had this little shop or whatever. So he had me in this shop in the back. I'm all swollen and everything or whatever. But the point of it was he was a bully. he not only was a bully to me, but he was a bully to everybody around him, his friends, his mother, father, everybody. None of them would, tell him what he was doing was wrong. They just allowed him to be because they felt like, hey, if he gonna do something to her, he'll do the same thing to me. So none of them addressed him for his behavior. Then there was another time he felt that I was trying to talk to another one of his friends. So he decided one day he wanted to make me get naked. He decided to tie a rope around my neck, making a noose. So he did a noose, he tied my hands, he tied my feet. So wherever I moved, it tightened the noose. He left me like that for 24 hours. Jesus. So then he decided to come back and loose me. So then you go through that. It's a phase where they call it the honeymoon stage in domestic violence, where, oh, I didn't mean it, I love you, I was just going through something or whatever. But a person who allows those things to happen, most people call them stupid. They call them dumb, you crazy. But if you are a person of low self-esteem, you don't know love, you accept whatever. For me, I'm a fatherless daughter. So my father died when I was 7. So I sort of like have blocked out half of my childhood. Some of my stuff I don't remember. When my memory picks up is when I decided to start using, became an alcoholic at the age of 14. I became depressed, skipping school, became just a lonely child seeking attention, but didn't know how to get it, didn't know who to talk to, because at the time I had a mother who didn't know how to communicate that way because she went through violence as well. But in their era, it wasn't considered domestic violence or whatever. It was considered something else. So to this day, my mother still has not told me what her abuse was, but I can pick up on the vibes with just how she reserves herself from talking about things. So I am I am number 6 of 6 siblings. There are 5 girls. 4 of the girls went through domestic violence. My oldest, she went through domestic violence. She went through the emotional and mental piece of it. My sister, after her, went through her husband cutting her from here to here, trying to kill her. So he actually split her chest open. Jesus Christ. My sister, after her, I remember at 11 watching her boyfriend stomp her to the floor, with his, foot and everything or whatever. But I didn't know what that was. I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't know how to address that. And then so people often think that, okay, how do you let this happen? But when you are young and you see this as a pattern happen in the family, it becomes a generational curse. But people don't realize that that's what it is. So it took me, years to figure that out. Like, why is everybody keeping everything so hush-hush in the family? Why is it people are afraid to talk about this? Because talking about abuse is an embarrassment, or it's an ashamed thing from that era. My sisters are from the 50s. I'm from the 60s. So, those are 2 different eras. There's a whole lot of hush-hush here. You get to the 60s on, we talk, we speak. So when I was going through my abuse, and it got so bad that my at the time, the daughter that I had, she was 5. I had to give her an escape route out the window. Didn't have a phone in the house, so I told her, if you should hear something too bad and you get afraid. I had to show her how to get out of the window. And you think about it as a mother, why are you teaching your child at 5 years old escape route out of the window? Well, if you can't get to the window, knock on the wall to the neighbors. They know if you knock on the wall, that means call 911. So then later on, I had a son. Same thing. He was being mentally abused by my abuser, but at the time, I didn't know that's what that was. I'm thinking, okay, he's trying to scare tactic away. He used to always tell him, if you don't do right, I'm going to put you in the closet in the dark. I'm going to take you down to the morgue, and I'm going to put you in the casket with dead bodies and things like that. But then, when my son was 2.5, we would be out, and men would start saying, just hello. He would start screaming, don't do nothing to my mother. Please don't hurt my mother, or whatever. So then that was like a wake-up call, like, something's wrong here. So what I did for my son that particular day, him and his father were not together, but his father always told me, if you feel like you can't do it, call me and I'll come get it. So I called him in the middle of the day. Hey, you remember what you said? If I couldn't do it, you would take care of our son. And he was like, yes. I said, I need you to come get him now. Because that was the point where I knew that I wasn't able to take care of him, by allowing him to be subjected to these things. Same thing with my daughter. I called my mother, I called my sister. So what I did for my oldest daughter was I signed over all the child support checks to one of my sisters to take care of her, to pay my niece next door to, care for when she goes to school. One thing that I noticed with women victims when they have children, they don't think of the care of their children. They think that if they tell somebody's going to snatch their kids up. But for me, I refused to allow the system to take my children. So I gave them to my family where I knew that they could be taken care of because I wasn't in a state of mind to take care of myself. So I'm going to work with purple bruises, black bruises under my hair. My hair was long at the time. So everything he did, he put it in a place where nobody could really see it. So then I had my hair covering over here or whatever. Then when I get to work, it got to the point at lunchtime, I was so exhausted. I'm under my desk sleep. And they trying to figure out why is every day she hiding under the desk sleep. But then one day my hair grew back. And they saw. So then that's when, they started paying attention to like, okay, this is really crazy. Like, what's going on? And so then the next phase of this thing, I come home, there are women in my house. Now, this is the other part of the sexual abuse, where he wants you to engage.
Oh,
right?
God.
So, come on, let's smoke, whatever. So I got to smoke so I can numb myself to whatever he's about to have me experience so that I don't get hit. I'm going to do it. But what happens afterwards? I still end up getting hit because then it became, I was liking the girl. Now the girl started calling me. It's your friend. But it's my fault. So then that's another beat you go through. This is the part of the story that really, this is the first time I'm publicly telling this part of the story because it's like the part you hold, like you're ashamed, like, okay, I don't want nobody to think that I'm a lesbian or anything. That's the stuff you think, but it's not something that I introduced myself to. It was forced on me. So that phase went by. Okay, so then I ended up getting pregnant by him. So much stress and everything. My daughter, this is my third child, she came at 27 weeks. So stressed out. She was 1 pound and 11 ounces. So she stayed in the hospital 2.5 months or whatever. So she didn't get to see the abuse, but she was a factor of it because she came in the middle of while all this was happening. So while she was in the hospital, whatever, they had to put a security bracelet on her foot so he couldn't try to steal out of the hospital. His mind going crazy at the time. He don't even realize, hey, she's sick. Where you going to carry her? Where you going to take her? And so then I had that order or whatever. Then after still, what did I do? Open the door and let him back in. And this is the cycle. It goes on and on and on. Back to that honeymoon stage again. You in this whole cycle. People don't realize it's a cycle. They think, oh, well, time has gone by. It's been 6 months. Okay, he should be good. Why? Because he's been quiet and reserved. So you're thinking, oh, this is good. Oh, we're going to be good right here. Same thing, you go back. A year later, he gets you pregnant again. So then they did what's called a cerclage. That's where they stitch your cervix up so that you can hold the baby. I got all the way to 37 weeks. He decided he wanted to have sex. Next day, all this pain, get to the hospital, my uterus ruptured. So my son was just inside my stomach, absorbing all the blood, whatever. When I got there, he was dead. Okay, resuscitated him, right?
Jesus Christ.
He lasted 24 days, but he was brain dead. He never opened his eyes, couldn't cry, couldn't do nothing. So it took for God to take my son for me to realize, what are you doing? I got out. But I tell people you can't get out by yourself. It takes a village to get out. So it took my mother. Well, in the middle of all this, before that, I tried to, in my mind, thought I wanted to kill myself. Spent 4 days on the psych ward. I didn't care. I just knew that it wasn't right. I started having blackouts. But normally people have blackouts when they're in the house. That type of thing. I had blackouts while walking. So I started this point. I don't know how I got to that point. But this particular day, if it hadn't been for somebody blowing the horn, I'd be dead. So that's when I, let my mother, hey, look, I know we don't have a relationship, but y'all need to come find me, come get me, because I need help. I can't do this anymore. So I did that. I went through my health insurance where I had to go through AA program. I had to go through counseling for 12 weeks. I went to church. I did everything I needed to do. But the thing that kept me disciplined was the fact that if you missed a session, your 12 weeks start all over again. So that's how that's how to get you. Like, hey, you want to complete this, you want to do better, you want to get out of it, you're going to have to follow suit. So it took the church, it took my mother, it took my sisters, it took my niece, it took my ex-husband, it took support, it took a lot. But a lot of people think they can just get out, and that's it. But you can't do it alone because you're vulnerable at that time. So when you're vulnerable, you think you can do it, but the moment you say that one right thing, it can open you up quickly to go right back in. So that's my victim part. So I'm here to give you the restoration part. That there is life after death. Because while I was going through that, I was just dead. I wasn't alive. At the time, I had even wrote a letter to my mother, telling her how to keep my kids together if something should happen to me. I was 24. 25 years later, I'm still here. So what I do is for women, because my story is so unique. And when I tell people what I've gone through, looking at me, you can't tell that. So what I tell them is, like, even if you've been a victim, you've gone through it, you have to be more than a victim. You have to be more than a survivor. You have to conquer it. You have to become a conqueror, because being a survivor is good. But what you going to do after surviving? What you going to do for yourself? How you going to live? How you going to make it? How you going to move? So for me, in my ministry, I'm a wound healer, which means that I can feel where your hurt is, because most don't know our pain starts right here in our stomach. Every toxin in our body starts right here. It doesn't start here. It trickles from here on up. So if you ever think about soul ties, there is a picture of a woman where they have her open, and there's about 100 heads inside her stomach, but she's stitched right here. Everything is open. You have to think about when you have soul ties, you let all the spirits inside your body, and it starts to take over and become a disease. But you have to allow yourself to lean and depend on God to help you with this. That's the one thing that most people don't do. They don't pray. They don't meditate. They don't think about it. They think they can do it this way. But what I had to do was really get down in there and expose myself to me. And one of the sessions in my therapy that we had to do was mirror therapy. Every day, you have to appear in the mirror naked and look at yourself. And if you couldn't face yourself in the mirror, you had to do it every day until you could. So it's a hard therapy, but it's the best therapy you can do for yourself, because when you start to accept your flaws just as they are, no matter what nobody say about you, you loving you. So as that mirror therapy start to work, you start to stitch up, just like this belt. You stitch up, you stitch up. But most things